Let me hit you with something real quick that's gonna flip everything you think you know about women completely upside down. The second you stop chasing her, and I mean the actual second she registers that your energy has shifted, something goes off inside her head that she will take to her grave before she ever admits it to you. And what happens in that moment is so psychologically deep, so emotionally powerful, and so ridiculously in your favor that most men never even get close to understanding it. Because most men are too busy sending that third unanswered text to ever find out. Here's the truth nobody's talking about: when you stop chasing a woman, her mind doesn't go silent. It goes absolutely haywire. And that internal chaos you just triggered without doing a single thing? That's where real attraction is born. Yo, what is good? Welcome back if you're new here. I'm genuinely glad the algorithm brought you to this video today, because what I'm about to break down is going to change how you move forever. Today, we're going all the way in on the real female psychology behind what a woman thinks, feels, and privately obsesses over the moment a man pulls back his pursuit. And by the time we're done here, I promise you, you will never chase the same way again. Actually, you won't chase at all. Let's get into it. Point 1. The second you pull back, her brain goes into full detective mode. Here's what most guys completely misread. They think when they stop chasing, a woman just shrugs it off, moves on, and never thinks about them again. Bro, that is the furthest thing from the truth. The moment a woman who has been comfortably receiving your consistent attention suddenly notices that energy is gone, it does not feel like relief to her. It feels like a jolt. Like when a song you've been hearing in the background every single day just stops playing and the silence feels louder than the music ever did. Her mind immediately starts searching for answers. She's going back through every single interaction, trying to figure out what changed. Did she say something? Did she come off a certain way? Has he found someone else? Is he just busy? Or has something actually shifted? These questions come fast. They come uninvited. And they take up way more mental space than you ever did when you were actually pursuing her. That's the beautiful irony of it all. Your consistent pursuit never made her think about you this hard. Your silence just did in 48 hours what 6 months of texting good morning never could. Point 2. She starts questioning everything she thought she had figured out about you. See, when a man is consistently chasing, a woman builds a very specific story about who he is in her head. He's predictable, he's available, he's safe to ignore because he's not going anywhere. She's got you categorized, filed away, and mentally managed. But the second you stop, every single assumption she made becomes uncertain. And uncertainty, real genuine uncertainty, forces a level of reflection that certainty never produces. She starts wondering if she read the situation wrong. She assumed your interest was unconditional, that you'd keep showing up no matter how she responded. Your withdrawal just challenged that assumption directly, and now she's not sure where she stands. That discomfort? That's not a bad thing for you, man. That discomfort is what genuine emotional engagement actually feels like. She also starts getting honest with herself about her own feelings in a way she never had to when you were always available. Because when your attention was guaranteed, she never had to ask herself whether she actually wanted you in her life. Your presence required nothing of her emotionally, but your absence is asking her a question she has been quietly avoiding. And a lot of women, when they finally sit with that question honestly, are genuinely surprised by the answer. And hey, real quick, if this is hitting different for you right now, do me a solid and smash that subscribe button. I drop content like this every single week, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. Now let's keep going. Point 3. Your absence becomes more attractive than your presence ever was. I know that sounds backwards. I know every instinct in you is saying, but if I'm not there, she'll forget about me. But here's the psychology you need to lock in. The human brain assigns value to things based on availability. What is always there gets taken for granted. What might not be there anymore becomes immediately more compelling. It's not a flaw in how women think. It's literally how human desire works across both genders. When you were consistently present and consistently pursuing, your value in the dynamic became fixed. She knew exactly what you were worth, because she could access you at any time without any effort. But the moment that consistent presence becomes uncertain, her mind automatically recalibrates your value upward. You've gone from something available to something that might be gone. And things that might be gone are always more interesting than things that are definitely staying. Your absence also does something that your pursuit never could. It creates space for her to feel the actual weight of what you added to her life. When you were always there, your presence was normalized. Normalized things are never appreciated. But when you're no longer consistently showing up, the gap you leave behind is felt in a way that makes your value suddenly undeniable. She starts noticing what she liked about the dynamic only after it's no longer guaranteed. And that noticing, that real recognition, is what absence creates that pursuit never could. Point 4. She discovers she actually has feelings for you, and it catches her completely off guard. This is one of the most honest things I can share about how female attraction actually works. A lot of women do not fully realize they have genuine feelings for a man until he stops making himself so available. That sounds almost impossible, but it's one of the most common emotional experiences in the attraction dynamic. When your pursuit was constant, her emotional response stayed passive. She never had to look inward and evaluate what she actually felt, because the dynamic never asked anything of her. Your withdrawal is what finally creates that demand. And the realization doesn't come all at once. It hits in quiet moments that completely blindside her. She's going about her day, and something small, a song, a place, a random conversation reminds her of you, and she feels something she genuinely wasn't expecting. She hears your name and notices her own internal reaction. She finds herself hoping you'll reach out while simultaneously refusing to be the first one to do it. Each of those moments is an honest signal that feelings are present in a way she hadn't even acknowledged to herself yet. And what makes this moment so powerful is that it arrives on her terms, not as a reaction to your energy. When a man chases, any warmth a woman shows can always be explained away as simply reacting to his pursuit. But when a man stops chasing, and she finds herself drawn to him anyway, she can't explain that away. That pull is coming entirely from within her, and that internal origin makes it feel more real and more worth paying attention to than anything that developed while you were running after her. Go ahead and drop a comment right now. Have you ever pulled back and watched something unexpected happen? I read every single comment and I respond personally. Keep it real with me down there. And while you're at it, hit subscribe if you haven't already. We're building something real on this channel. Point 5. She will never admit what your silence actually did to her. Listen closely, because this is the part that trips most men up. A woman can be completely rattled by your silence, thinking about you constantly, replaying conversations, feeling a pull toward you that genuinely surprises her, and still present a perfectly composed, completely unbothered exterior to the entire world. The gap between what she's feeling internally and what she's willing to show you is enormous. And most men, seeing only that composed exterior, conclude that the silence had no effect at all and give up right before the shift happens. Here's why she won't admit it: vulnerability and pride. Admitting that your withdrawal affected her means admitting she cared more than she showed. And admitting she cared more than she showed means owning the fact that she had the power to respond to your genuine interest and chose not to. That's a hard thing to face. So, instead of admitting it, she maintains the performance of indifference while internally dealing with feelings that are anything but indifferent. She tells her friends she wasn't that interested anyway. But privately, she's checking your social media. She's noticing when you've been active without reaching out. She's rehearsing what she might say if you message her. The composed exterior is performance. The internal experience is something else entirely. So when you see that unbothered act, don't mistake it for the final word. People who genuinely don't care don't need to perform not caring. They just live their life. If she's performing indifference, Something is very much happening beneath the surface. Point 6. When you stop chasing, she reveals exactly who she really is. And this right here might be the most genuinely valuable thing in this entire video, so pay attention. When you stop chasing a woman, you don't just change how she feels about you. You change what she reveals about herself. And what she does next is one of the most important pieces of information you can ever have before deciding how much of yourself to invest. Because when you're consistently chasing, a woman never has to show her hand. She can stay comfortably passive, receiving your attention without ever having to demonstrate any genuine investment of her own. Your pursuit makes the decision for her every single day. But the moment you stop, that comfortable passivity is no longer an option. She's suddenly facing a choice that your pursuit had been making for her. Does she want this connection enough to do something about it, or does she just move on now that the free attention has stopped? A woman with real feelings and genuine interest will find a way to re-establish contact. It might be subtle, a casual message, a comment, a question that gives her a natural reason to reach out. She won't make it dramatic, but she will do something, because letting it fade will feel genuinely uncomfortable to her. A woman who was only there for the attention? She'll move on. She won't reach out. She'll fill the space with something else. And while that stings, man, it's valuable. It tells you clearly that what existed wasn't a mutual connection. It was a one-sided dynamic held together entirely by your pursuit. Knowing that early saves you months of emotional energy spent on someone who was never really invested in the first place. Point 7. Here's what you actually do with all of this, without losing yourself in the process. I need to finish this with the most important message of everything we covered. Knowledge without the right application is just information. Understanding what happens in a woman's mind when you stop chasing is powerful, but only if you use it to build something real, not as a manipulation strategy. The second this becomes a game you're playing to trigger a reaction, it loses all its power, and you end up right back where you started with a more complicated version of the same broken pattern. The right move starts with one real decision, choosing to invest in yourself, your purpose, and your growth, not as a tactic, but because a full and purposeful life is genuinely worth building on its own. A man who stops chasing because he's decided his time and energy actually matter, and then pours that energy into becoming the best version of himself, is not running a play. He is making the single most important investment available to him. And the natural byproduct of that investment, the confidence, the direction, the genuine fullness of life it creates, makes him undeniably attractive without a single second of performance. Here's the honest truth that comes from a place of real respect for you. Some men are going to take what I just said and turn it into a new form of chasing. Instead of chasing her with messages, they'll chase her reaction by strategically withholding themselves and monitoring her every move. That approach is just as rooted in insecurity as the original chasing, because it's still making her reaction the measurement of your worth. Real freedom from the chasing pattern comes from genuinely not needing the reaction, from building a life so full and a sense of self so grounded that whether she notices or not becomes secondary to the quality of the life you're actually living. Here is the boldest thing I can leave you with: a man who stops chasing does more for his attractiveness in one single week than a man who chases does in an entire year. Not because withdrawal is a trick, but because the decision to stop chasing is a declaration of self-worth. And self-worth, real and unperformed, is the single most magnetic quality a woman can encounter in a man. When you stop chasing, her mind doesn't go quiet. It goes to work. It questions, it evaluates, it feels things it was never forced to feel, while your pursuit kept everything comfortable and certain. And the man who created that shift simply by choosing himself becomes someone she genuinely cannot stop thinking about. Stop chasing, start building, develop something real, move with purpose, and trust that the right woman will recognize a man who values himself enough to stop running after people who aren't running toward him. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever stopped chasing and watched something shift? Or are you in a situation right now where you know you've been chasing too hard? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one, and I'm responding personally. And if this video gave you something real today, subscribe right now, because we go deep on this stuff every single week, and you don't want to miss what's dropping next. See you in the next one.